The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast coming to you on November 22nd, 2022. How you guys doing? Happy Tuesday. It is Thanksgiving week, of course. My kids are home from school all week long, so I got to make sure they're productive all week long. The challenge of being a parent, especially. And then when you have a situation where at least one of these days, my wife works all day, so I'm here all day with the kids today. So I got to keep productive. But they've been good. We went to the playground today. They went to the pool, even though it wasn't even sunny outside. I still want to go to the pool. My kids are crazy. Anyway. Podcast, subscribe to all podcast crashers, Earnestly Podcast on Amazon, on YouTube definitely, but my YouTube page, especially subscribe, Earnest, EJ Christian. Actually, it's youtube.com / @Earnest.Christian. I believe that. I mean, that's the new URLs they're giving out there on YouTube. But of course, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcast, Spotify, we're all over the place, my friends. Anyway, going to get a couple things on my chest rather. Even in the holiday week, we'll still have some shows coming up this week. I am taking, again, another week off. I'm taking wrestling this week because Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I want to be able to be, with my family all week long without any distractions and stuff. So decided to take off, another week off. Take 3. I haven't been on the show in a while, a couple weeks. I'll be back at some point, probably next week. But but think about a lot of things too. Also with life, I'm 42 years old. Got a good job and got a great marriage. Great kids. I'm very happy. I guess I'm content. But every now and then you start to wonder what's next. 42 years old and you're trying to figure out things in the future and figure your next plan. What's the plan for next month, next week, next year? Next 5 years. Kids are growing. Going to be going to middle school a couple of years, and kindergarten we're going into growing into his own thing. So a lot of contemplation about what's the next step, what's the next plan, what should I do going forward with marriage, what's next, what vacations we plan, what should we do in terms of investments, and what should we do in terms of saving money, and what should we do this and that, and then personal stuff, contemplation. I love my job. I've been in my job over 19 years, almost 20 years. Next August will be 20 years. I love the people I work with. Have some of the best bosses I've ever had. Probably ever. Definitely ever. But again, you still have to, contemplate. I still contemplate about things, about what's next. And we... myself, I'm always thinking. My mind's always moving forward. Always trying to figure out what's the next plan for me. Should I consider career changes? Should I consider a pivot here? Should I do more? Should I work a second job? Should I put more time on my kids? There's a lot of things that crossed my mind in the last couple of weeks, couple months, really a couple months. And you at 42 years old, you try to figure out the next step. Like I said, I'm very happy with my job. I love my job. I'm some folks don't know my day job. I wish I could podcast all day long, but I just can't podcast all day long every day. I would if I could. Although I will say my schedule, my job I do have, it does allow me the flexibility to podcast as much as I could. I do this show, of course. I do a wrestling podcast called Take the Wrestling I just mentioned a while ago. I also do a co-host of a very awesome football podcast we do every week called Huddle Up every Tuesday. So I have the time to do all that stuff. My job is allowing me that space to do that. But my real job, my job is actually make money and support my kids, support my habits and all that. When I say habits, I don't mean drugs and stuff. I'm talking like, things like this, podcasting, whatever. I'm a poker dealer. I've been dealing poker for 10 years. Close to 10 years, I say. And I've been working in that business for 19, almost 20 years. And I'm very happy here. Mostly I'm very content, which is fine. Is it the greatest job in the world? No. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's good for me. I'm happy there, and I like what I do. But But there's things also too that I always think about. Well, what if I couldn't do it anymore? Because the one thing I've said before in the show that's always concerned me about my future there is more so my physical needs. Can I continue doing what I'm doing into my late 40s, into my 50s? You know, if I could, then I'll keep doing it. I truly do enjoy doing my job. I truly enjoy dealing poker. And it's fun. I can meet people every day. The customers that we've had there for, that come in there, I've known for some of them for, 2 decades. They become family to me. Employees, same thing too. They're like family to me. I didn't meet my wife there, but I got my wife a job there within the first few months I was dating. And we built such a nice foundation of friends and family, in these 19 years. But again, I'm always thinking about what's the next step. Should I try something new? Should I try something that's easier on my body? Because that's the one negative about my job is that the physical part, kind of continue doing what I'm doing, So, it's one of those things where I'm not trying to change careers or I'm just thinking about things going forward. What's the next step? I'm always trying to figure things out, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy where I'm at. I'm content. Content's not a bad thing. I think people look at content, being content, for that matter, is as a negative, and I completely disagree. If you're unhappy with something, that's one thing, but I feel like contentment is okay, as long as you clear with the direction you're going in. Like what you're doing and where you're at, and you feel like, okay, I'm good, and it may be perfect, but I'm good. And that's kind of where I'm at now with work these days. I'm content in a good way. Like I said, certain things that I got to work on in terms of the physical stuff, but a lot of that could also be done on my end, taking care of my end, of course. But otherwise, I'm always thinking about the next step. Talked to my sister last week on the podcast about things, about goals and all that, and positivity, and that crosses my mind. What's next? But the greatest thing about my job, I love, one thing else that I still, my wife and I both are truly blessed with. In addition to having great bosses, and where we work at, is the flexibility it provides us to be able to, we can work the jobs we have, not have to lean on people to watch our kids more than we need to. I know we have one of our friends that does watch our kids for like 2 hours or an hour on Saturdays while we do our changeover. But other than that, we have a schedule where it works out great. We can max how much we can and still make the money we gotta make, and still have to worry about getting a babysitter and have to worry about asking family to do things more than they need to. I'm someone that's always been, okay with relying on myself and, depending on myself to do things. I don't like asking for help when I need to, unless I absolutely need help. And luckily, we've been in a place where we haven't needed the extended amount of help with that. Now, at the same time, it does come at a cost to a degree personally. Schedules, like I work Saturdays. I don't, I've been working Saturdays since the pandemic happened. I'd rather not work Saturdays necessarily, but I've also gotten used to it now. The only bad thing about Saturdays for me now at this point is I miss a chunk of college football on Saturdays. But again, we can work around that. I work in a place where I have like freaking like 50, 60 TVs around me, so not like I couldn't work around that. But in terms of contentment, I'm good. I'm good. I'm in a good place. Every once in a while, I need to remind myself of that fact. So, but anyway, what else on the docket here? Because I want to go maybe 20, 25 minutes here. I want to go too long. I got a lot of stuff to talk about, throughout the week, but I'm going to save some meat in the bone for other things. Daylight savings time has really been screwing me up lately. And now, here's the thing what's funny about daylight savings time, especially now, at this time of year. I'm probably one of the few schmucks in the world that actually doesn't mind, actually loves when it gets dark early. My reason for that, of course, is that I, as a kid, whenever it got dark early, it was always the signal for me that the holidays were around the corner, that Christmas was around the corner. Living in New York as a kid, especially, 8 years old, 7 years old. And I remember as a kid, my mom, picked me up from the babysitter, from daycare, whatever. and it'd be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30 in the afternoon. It's already dark. But to me, it reminded me also that when it was dark, that it was also snow outside, and it was cold, and Christmas was around the corner, and the Christmas lights and stuff. So I've always never minded it getting dark early. A lot of people, I say that acknowledging that I am definitely the minority in that. I'm definitely the minority in that. Let's be clear about that. But here's where it screws me up now. You get used to a schedule, and I take my kid to school every day. Pretty much every day. Fridays, my wife takes her. If I do the wrestling podcast late at night on Thursday nights, my wife Lauren, she'll take the kids to school Friday morning. Let me sleep in. Otherwise, I take both kids to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. Normally, when I wake up in the morning to get the kids ready for school, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. It's still only now getting light and starting to get light. It's still a little bit dark, but it's still getting light. The sun's coming through a little bit. So I've been used to that now. But since daylight savings time, about I think a month ago, or 3 weeks ago, however long it was, it's been getting brighter. It seems to be getting brighter earlier than usual. Like all of a sudden, I'm waking up in the morning at about 5:45, 6 a.m. and it's bright and early already. Bright outside, bright at 6 a.m. And every time I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking it's like 7:30. I'm late. I wake up in the morning, I look at my clock. It's like, oh, it's only 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, logically, I should take advantage of that. Wake up in the morning, go jogging, whatever, exercise, that kind of thing, do my own thing. But it's screwing me up because, if I go to bed late, it cuts to my sleep time also too. But it's been screwing me up though. Like daylight savings time never bothered me for years. It's not only until the last like maybe a year or two, maybe 3 years, that's become an issue for me. Like all of a sudden it's like, I'm waking up in the morning and like all of a sudden like I can't adjust. It's weird, really weird stuff. But I'm working through it still. But like even this morning, I woke up in the morning like thinking like it's like, my kids are home from school, so I have to work early in the morning. I'm thinking it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like 6:15. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go back to sleep. But it's cutting to my sleep too, also because once I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and 6:30 in the morning, I'm like already awake. Like, I might as well stay awake and get ready to take the kid to school and all that. But it's been something an adjustment, and like recently, like in the last couple of years, like daylight savings has been really screwing me up. It really has. But it's one of those things where maybe it's an age thing. Some certain things hit you different now when you're in your 40s as opposed to when you did when you in your 20s or 30s, and even as a teenager. I don't know. But daylight savings time is still screwing me up. It really is. And hopefully I adjust to it. It's funny. I'm gonna end up adjusting to it by next month or two, and before you know it, it's March. You go back the other way now. So I don't know. And plus, I thought we were going to end that daylight savings thing. Wasn't a bill written about that? A bill in Congress that they were trying to end daylight savings time. Like, I know why it exists, and I get that. It's annoying. Pick one time and stick to it, So, anyway, we are now about a little over a month of the NBA season, about 5 weeks in, I think, close to 5 weeks in. It's been a very fascinating NBA season thus far. I want to go ahead and review it. Like, I was going to get some guys on the podcast this week, but it is the holidays. I want maybe get Chris and Zach on the pod. But I'll wait. I think I'll wait probably a week or two, and then we'll probably do like a little bit of a review, December review. So I want to give my thoughts on the NBA season thus far, and what I'll do is I'm going to roll through the entire Eastern Wrestling Conference standings here and see where we're at. I'll go ahead and run through that and give my thoughts on things that stand out to me. Let's run through. Well, you know what? As always, I am a Heat fan, so I'll go to the team that I care about more than any other, and that is the Miami Heat. They are currently. Let me make sure and get this right because my computer's not really working. I'm trying to scroll down on the standings here on my computer. It's not going down the way I want to. Let me see. Bring up my phone instead. Okay, so here's the standings here. All right. So in the East right now. Well, first I'll start the Heat. My Heat, at 7-11 right now, lost 4 in a row. Right now they're the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. So lost 6 last 10 games. Obviously, Tyler Hero's been missed the last 8 games. Jimmy Butler's missed the last, I think, 4, maybe 5 games. Bam Adebayo missed a couple of games on the bottom. So rough start for the team right now going forward so far into the year. I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to talk about there, in terms of can they climb out of this? Like I said before the year started, and people, I remember my family were like laughing about this. They called me a hot take artist when I said that it wouldn't shock me the Heat would be in a playing situation where they're playing, they landed a 7, 8, 9, or 10 seed and having to play in a playing situation, and people thought I was being like a hot take guy, and look, things can still happen. Things can settle in. We've seen teams now starting to settle down a little bit now, but if the thing that scared me with the Heat coming to the year was the fact that, there's no more this year. There is no more. There's less, throwaway games. Like every game counts now. Like parity's here in the NBA, and we can't say, we'll make up that game later on, because the teams now in the league there's much better teams now in the league than it were say 2-3 years ago. Even the bad teams now are problems. So start with the Heat, they're 7-11. I think they'll be okay overall as long as they stay healthy. But losing Harrell, losing Bam for a couple games, and losing Jimmy Butler, that's a problem. It's a problem. Hopefully, it doesn't become an extended problem. All right, so going through the Eastern Conference, the Celtics, of course, are first place right now, number 1 seed in the East round. They're 13-4, fantastic. I think Jason Tatum right now is the MVP currently right now in the league. Obviously, not surprised there. Bucks 12-4, only half a game behind. Giannis doing his thing, of course. The Cavs, surprise, 11-6. The Cavs were actually red hot, lost 5 in a row. Now they've since won 3 straight games. 11-6, 3 seed in the East. The Pacers are surprised in the East now at 10-6. They won 5 in a row. They've actually a fun team to watch. The Pacers are actually a very fun team to watch. Halliburton is actually very fun to watch. The Wizards 10-7 is the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Also the Hawks 10-7, the 6 seed in the East. The Sixers are now the 7 seed at 9-8. Raptors 9-8 as the 8 seed. Knicks at 9-9. The Nets actually, after all of the chaos and all the struggles, are starting to put it together again. They're now 8-10. They get Kyrie Irving back now. He's played his first game on Sunday. The Nets could be dangerous. We'll see. Ben Simmons is playing a little better too, also. So keep an eye on that. The 11th seed now is the Bulls at 7-10. They're struggling, of course. The Heat, like I said, 7-11. The Magic 5-13. They're actually competitive for the most part. Obviously, they're not really a great team. The 14th seed right now, the Hornets are 4-14. The 15th seed, the worst team in each conference right now, is the Pistons at 3-15. Wasn't it Zach and Chris telling me on the over on this pod that they're going to be the surprise in the East and they're going to win like more than 30 games? And I said no. They've lost 7 in a row. I think I'm going to be proven right on that situation. Just saying. Not to mean to brag. All right, in the Western Conference, we have the Jazz now 12-7 and number 1 seed right now currently in the West. The West is actually a little bit of a jumble up here. Suns at the 2 seed at 10-6. The Jazz, obviously, like I said, the Jazz are the surprise of the West right now. Could it sustain is the question. We'll see. The Nuggets 10-6 as the 3 seed. They're playing okay. Clippers 11-7, despite not having Kawhi Leonard for most of the year. That situation is something to look at too, because Kawhi Leonard, I think, look, I don't like the optics now. I think he could be done. And now they're saying he actually hurt his ankle too. On top of that, now so he could miss more games going forward. 5 seed are surprising but very exciting to watch. Sacramento Kings at 9-6. The 6 seeder now is the Pelicans at 10-7. They've been pretty good to watch, especially too. The Grizzlies at 7 seed at 10-7, but they also don't have John Morant for a little bit. I think it's day to day. The 8 seed now is the Blazers, who started off red hot and they lost 3 in a row since then. They are the 8 seed at 10-7. The 9 seed is the Mavericks and Luka Doncic at 9-7. The 10 seed of the Timberwolves at 9-8. They've been a weird team to watch. Though they won 4 in a row, they're starting to get things a little bit get together now. We'll see. The Golden State Warriors, the champs, are 8-10 as 11 seed right now currently. So another great team who's been struggling out the gate. The 12 seed, the Thunder at 7-10. The 13th seed is the Lakers at 5-10. They won 3 in a row though, all without LeBron to the record. The 14th seed is the San Antonio Spurs at 6-12 after a good start. They've now lost 5 in a row. And the worst team in the West is the Houston Rockets. No surprise there. They are now 3-14. Like I said, things are early still. Things can still settle in. But I think the thing I will say that one thing that's holding true is that the Celtics and Bucks are the class of the East. That's not a surprise there. And in the West is the one that's really surprising. I don't want to say Utah's sustaining the 1 seed, but I think they'll maybe they're better than we thought. The Kings have won 6 in a row. There's a lot of anomalies here, but we'll see. But the thing that we need to understand here too now is the parity in this league is fantastic. The parity in this league this year has been off the charts. We need to appreciate that. For years we've been saying, oh, we know the 3 teams are going to be in the conversation for the championship. Not anymore. We don't. You can look at a bunch of 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that you see playing in the finals, or at least competing for the finals. So it's been a very good year to watch. So, all right, one more thing before I get out of here. I want to go too long tonight. I want to say at least the meat on the bone. We got more pods coming this week too, especially. I've been going through recently a disinterest for pro wrestling. Now, it's not surprising that this time of year I don't watch a lot of wrestling, because this is the time of year where content for me is on overload. College football, NFL, NBA is back. I even watch a little hockey sometimes. Baseball playoffs. The baseball just ended. Season ended a couple weeks ago. And I am on content overload as it is. But for some reason, I just haven't felt motivated to watch any of the weekly stuff, whether it's AEW Dynamite, whether it's Raw, SmackDown. I still watch the pay-per-views, or as WWE calls it, the premium live events. But it's been harder to commit to watching these things because it's time of year. I'm on content overload. Every night I'm dedicating time to watching the NBA League Pass. I'm an NBA junkie. Every weekend I'm locked in with college football on Saturdays, the NFL on Sundays, and then of course Monday Night Football and Thursday Football around that. Wrestling never ends. This is the thing, and we learned this even through the pandemic. Wrestling never ends. Even a freaking pandemic that ripped apart the entire world, wrestling still went on. To the credit of them, for the record. But because I don't have any time away from it, there's no way to really appreciate it as much. At some point, you can get burnt out. And this, I will say, not just even this fall, but even this year as a whole, I think it's the first time since getting back into the product in 2019 that I really have stepped back from watching. Now, that could be a lot of reasons why I haven't been on Take 3 a lot recently. I guess part of it, to some degree, that could be a case for that. Not knowing what's going on. Every feud's going on. I know the main feuds, but I don't know every little detail's going on. But it's also the time of year, especially too. Full Gear was last week. AEW Full Gear. They're one of their 4 pay-per-views they do a year. I didn't even watch it, and I haven't. I could watch it anytime I want, but I haven't watched it yet because I don't have 4 hours to commit right now to just watching the product. And maybe it's the ADHD of me, wanting to not even want to lock in. But it's one of those things where, I want to watch at some point. This week is Survivor Series. I want to watch it. It's Survivor Series War Games, But, it's getting the motivation to do it. Now, I suspect within the next month or so, this is the last really full college football week of the year, because then you have championship weekend next weekend, and then bowl season begins. To be honest, you guys know I haven't really cared about bowl season outside the New Year's Six and maybe a couple here and there teams I want to watch here and there. I'm not a big bowl guy anymore. I used to in college football, But NFL's still going, still ticking, and NBA still ticking, And then it's not gonna be really until probably close to January when we get to Royal Rumble season where I start really getting back into wrestling again. So maybe once I get through this rough spot here, I'll probably feel motivated watching the day-to-day product, week-to-week product rather. But I haven't watched any Dynamite since the summer. I haven't watched any Raw SmackDown since the summer as well too. I watched the pay-per-views, the premium events, but like I said, even this week I missed Full Gear. So, but it's just, it's not that I'm disinterested in wrestling as a whole. But I think me needing time away from it for a little bit, it makes me appreciate it more. Because again, there is no off season in wrestling. It is what it is, So maybe at some point, like I said, I think maybe once we get past, say, the holidays here, get into January, we're getting closer to our Rebel season, then I'll probably start really inching back into the week-to-week stuff. But right now, I'm just not motivated to watch it. Like tomorrow's Dynamite. There's a Thanksgiving Eve special. Am I going to watch it? No. I'm going to be probably recording a podcast tomorrow night. You know? So that's just that. So anyway, like I said, I'm doing this quick pod. We got a couple more pods coming in the can this week. So look out for those. Anyway, I am on Twitter at EJChristian7, Earnestly Speaking Podcast across all podcast catchers. Please, guys, especially visit my YouTube page at, I'm going to look it up right now before I get out of here. It is youtube.com/ I'm going to make sure I get this right because I don't want to screw this up. Let me see. youtube.com/ here it is. Yes. So here it is. It's youtube.com/ at Earnest Christian on YouTube. Subscribe, smash the subscribe button. Check out all the clips. Check out all the stuff I do there on YouTube, except my appearances on, of course, this podcast, Huddle Up podcast, T3 Wrestling podcast, everything else I do on the side. So we'll talk soon. Until next pod. Love you guys. If I don't do another podcast, I'll see you. Have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll talk. If I can find this thing here. There we go. God bless you guys. Take care. See ya.